Welcome, Chris Evans Radio. We are back for another episode with Little Dave. What's up, man?
Not too much. Another day in paradise.
I know, right? That's what we were just talking about. It's like warm in Utah, warmer in Virginia. I actually got outside and I had to pull the Prowler today and do bike sprints. So that I messaged Chad. So this is like week 2 of me doing it. And I was like, man, that shit did not get any easier. And he's like,
that's gonna be like all the way to like week 20. Like, how is this not any easier?
I am
But
not
your
getting
body,
better.
you're gonna get faster at it.
Yes. Now, the one positive thing I did notice this week, so this is technically the third time total I've done it, is my recovery rate after was way like my breathing returned to normal about a minute,
Yep.
minute and a half quicker, which was nice because the first time, like, man, I'm telling you, I thought I was gonna throw up and my stomach, I couldn't eat for like 2.5 hours afterwards. It was so fucked up. So yeah, that was a good thing. But I think I was like all amped up because it was on camera too. So I felt this like added pressure to really go at it. So like you have all those like factors in there. So I definitely got better because I covered more distance on the bike and I pulled the Prowler further up our hill. So that's a good thing. But again, it's still just kicked me in the fucking teeth. As HIIT cardio should. So
if it ever doesn't, it means you're not doing it right.
Right.
You're like, that HIIT cardio wasn't bad. He was like, well, you fucking did it wrong.
Yeah. So I had a massage like 2 hours after I finished it. So I was like, I did that. I showered and like, I'm in the shower in a hot shower and every vein in my legs are like going bananas. And I'm like, that's why I love that spin bike, man. Like, I know a lot of people are so scared that shit's gonna eat muscle off their legs, but dear God, like it feels like you just did a drop set of leg extensions to me. So that was my day, and then I had a massage and then ate, and then we're doing this. So all right. So something I want to touch on is you text me was it last night, the night before, and said I was supposed to do back, and I said, fuck that, let's do legs. So I'd love for you to talk through how that occurred, why it occurred, and then what transpired over those next 2 hours.
Yeah, so legitimately got to the gym, started warming up, went to exercise number 1, did like 3 feeder sets to get started on dumbbell pullovers. We're using I was actually using a pullover, the old school Nautilus pullover, and this shoulder was just, it didn't hurt, just felt off. Nothing bad. It was just like, like, I don't know. We all had those feelings. It's like something just feels off. I was like, okay, cool. And then I look at Zach and I'm like, how'd that feel for you? And he's like, could have been better. And I was like, let's fucking train legs. And he was like, what?
Right.
And I was like, and he's like, all right, fine. And I know he wasn't too happy because like we generally have to like mentally prepare ourselves for legs, and he was like, you motherfucker.
The good news with that is like he didn't have any chance to like build up anxiety over it. It was just like, let's do legs.
Exactly. But I kid you not, so we went from not even a work set of dumbbell pullovers, like we did like 3 feeder sets, just getting ready to do a work set. Then we just went right over to standing leg curls. And I kid you not, like I did 1 set with a feeder set just to warm up, 1 set of 20.
Right.
And I had a pump in my hamstrings, it was stupid. Right. And I was like, oh, this was the right choice.
Correct. Right.
Because it was the exact opposite of what my back was feeling.
Yes.
I did 3 feeder sets for back and it felt like I was still cold. And then I went and did 1 warm-up set of hamstring curls and my hamstring came to life. So like, oh, this was the right choice.
Yep.
And then it was also nice too. We got a new leg press at Butler. So gave that a go. It was funny. Like I was just like, well, we'll see what happens we normally do 8 plates on the Cybex.
Okay. Yep.
So we're like, man, we got up to 8 plates on that. We're like, we'll send it. Honestly ended up right where it was supposed to. Like weight wise, it stayed about the same.
Yeah. And you had a band, right?
Yeah, I threw a green band, which is basically like it's like an off-brand one, but it's like the gray Elite FTS one.
Yeah. Yep.
So it's pretty thick.
Yes. Oh yeah.
And yeah, that felt great. Actually, I really like that hip press.
Yes.
It has a anti-safety bar. I'm gonna call it anti-safety,
Oh, right.
but you
Yes.
can actually slide a stopper so you can't lock out.
Oh, I didn't know that.
I thought it was all. I didn't use it,
Okay.
but we were fucking around with it because like, it's new to us.
Yeah.
And
Oh, yeah.
I was like, oh, there's a thing like so if you can get in it and set it so you can't lock your legs out, but close, basically a torture device. I was
Right.
like, this is amazing.
Yeah.
And Zach was like, ah, fuck, because he loves pausing to the top, and I love giving him shit for it. And I was like, we might have to use this in the future.
Right. Yeah.
But
That's really fucking cool. Yeah, one of my old buddies I used to train with, I always got in this habit of right before I'm gonna do my last or second to last rep, I'll pause it, regain my breath, slow down. And he's like, why do you do that? I'm like, I honestly had never even thought about it. Like it was
yeah,
instinctual. Like, so if I was gonna do say 13 reps on a leg curl, those last like maybe 11, 12, I'm gonna pause in the full stretch and then crank it down. And I'm like, man, like, should I be doing that? So that's really cool.
yeah,
And I've used that hip press probably, I don't know, 5, 6 times in my life. And
yeah,
every time I've used it, I loved it.
yeah. It's honestly probably one of the best ones I've ever used.
Mhm.
Um, it just the on like just where you unrack it from
Oh yeah.
is a good natural point, and you can adjust that.
Yes.
And then the safeties are adjustable. Like you can go deeper than I was.
Right.
And then you have that cool stop. Like
Oh,
I've
yeah.
never seen a leg press, but doesn't like lets you make it so you can't lock it out.
Yeah, I haven't either.
And it's past the safety, so you won't die
Oh, right. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
because it racks in the mid range.
Yes. Yep.
So like you still have that so you can make it so, and that's what's gonna make it fun. Like especially like if I was training someone and they kept fucking around like that, like I actually do that myself. I'll just put my hand on the fucking thing.
Oh yeah.
They're
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
we're coming to here,
Correct.
right?
Yeah.
Just so they, because that's usually like, because that's a pain kind of tolerance thing.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Because most people they're like, okay, it's comfortable up here, even though it's like you're taking the weight off, you put it on your bones basically.
Yep.
It's direct line of force. Now it's not on your quads,
Yep.
and it's like just forcing them to keep that pain just in there.
Mhm.
But now I can do it with I don't have to fucking pay attention to it.
Right.
So it's a win-win. Like,
Yeah, oh, yeah.
but like I was saying, that leg pump from the overall when we left,
Mhm.
phenomenal. Like I had a pump for after my post-workout meal.
Oh, that's great. Hell yeah.
I drove home, ate, still had a pump. Like I was like, all right, that was obviously the good choice.
Yep.
And back to like what we were saying, like if I trained back, I probably would have had. I have honestly like the trend I've had. I really haven't had too many bad workouts. It's like I probably had like last year. I probably had 3 total.
Right.
And so that wouldn't have been a bad workout, but it wouldn't have been a phenomenal workout.
Right.
Like that getting down with legs, it was like honestly that was a fantastic day.
Yeah.
And it was funny because it was like we don't like get in our rituals of like, oh shit, like I got to mentally prepare for that.
Yeah.
But just kind of ended that. I was like, all right, fuck it, we're doing legs.
Yeah, because most people will say this: I don't have the right shoes on, I don't have the right shorts or the shirt. Like I don't. It's not leg day. I hadn't thought about it all day. It's like,
Well,
So
if you notice too, I just took my fucking shoes off. I was just in socks.
right.
I definitely didn't have the right shoes on. I was like, I was like, solve that problem.
Right. Yeah. You know what's funny too? Like that shows you how great your training partner is. Because a lot of times, like if you're training with someone, you'll almost be more hesitant to be like, man, I'm not feeling this shit today. Like, I'm not gonna be the person who says, let's go do this instead. Where that shows how great you choose dynamic is that you said, I'm not feeling this, neither are you. Like, let's just fucking do legs, man. Like, okay, cool, got it, let's go. I mean, a lot of
And
times,
at the moment, he was like, I said that, and he was like, motherfucker.
right.
And then we definitely after we started training, we both realized it was a good idea.
Right.
I know we both went home and were like, that was a great idea.
Mhm.
It couldn't have gotten better for either one of us.
No. Yeah, see, that goes back to me as like that just shows you to me how stupid it is that bodybuilding has rules. There are no rules. Like that's the only rule. Like, what do
That's
you mean? I was supposed to train back today. Like my coach has back in my program. Don't care. I would much rather you have a phenomenal workout than a subpar one-on plan.
yeah,
Like, or even like if you would have said, "Oh, Chris, like I didn't feel that back shit at all, but I'm doing pull downs and my biceps are pumped," and you would have audibled and hit arms because I know you. It isn't because you want to escape and get away from back.
yeah,
It's like, no, my back doesn't feel it. My arms are pumped. All right, cool. Train arms. Oh, I'm doing RDLs and my hamstrings feel great. Let's go to hit hamstrings now. Like
yeah.
to me,
And
it's logical when I know in my heart you aren't running away from hard stuff. You know what I mean?
yeah, and that's definitely a like a learned skill too. Because
Yes.
I mean, most of the times, like people aren't gonna just walk into a fire.
No.
They're. I mean, we live in a world where the trend is a skipping leg day. You
Yes.
know, like, and it's just like Jesus, all right, cool chicken. If you want chicken legs, that's your own goddamn fault. Like, and I've heard every single excuse in the book for like, oh, my knee hurts. It's like, well, this guy's doing it. He doesn't even have fucking. Have you seen that one bodybuilder who doesn't have legs? Like he's got a double amputee below the knee.
Yep.
He's
So
got better leg development than a lot of fucking people. And I'm like,
yep.
I don't know. I do that all the time. I look at that guy. I'm like, this guy can fucking do it.
Right.
I'm pretty sure I can figure it out because I've got two fucking legs.
Yeah. And to me, it always goes back to this. It's an hour a week. An hour a week. Like if you really went in there and got after, like let's say you truly hate it. If you did a leg curl, an adductor, a leg press, and a hack squat, you said those four things,
Yeah.
and you did one or two work sets on each of those, that's 40 minutes
Yeah.
max. You're telling me you can't tolerate, and I would be willing to bet you, like, if you attacked all four of those exercises every like once a week, so 50 times in a year, you would have a better than average legs.
Oh, easily.
It,
If you went after a leg press and a hip hinge
oh, right.
only, and
Right.
you got after it once a week, just those two things,
Yeah.
you would have better legs than an entire division.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I really believe this in my heart. If you put you and I and said, hey, like you guys only have access to a leg curl and a leg extension, I bet you we could get a pump on those things, those two, in probably 15 or 30 minutes, somewhere in that range, and you and I would feel comfortable walking home.
Mhm.
Or riding home, not walking home. Like, how big was your pump? You did two single joint exercises. All right, cool. Yeah, my legs are full blown. Veins from the hip to my ankle, fully pumped, wobbling around. And I mean, I've said that before. Like, I've done leg curls, adductors, leg extensions, and been like, I could be good if I was weak mentally.
Yeah.
I'm gonna finish the hard shit now. Um, so I think that's really interesting. Like, you had the foresight to know like this isn't going well, and I would rather try something else before going home. Because I'd be willing to bet you if you went over to the leg curl and it felt like shit, you probably said, nah, not today. I'm going home.
Yeah.
Right. And you would have
Possibly. I'd probably fuck around. I'd probably
might have done some mobility and ab shit, right? Yeah, then that's a
I definitely would find a reason to be there.
yeah, like you already ate all your meals.
At some point, I might even just text Bronson. Does anything need to be moved? Like I'm here. Do you need me to reset any equipment?
I'll do anything but clean the bathrooms. Yeah, I mean, so the reason I wanted you to tell that story was it kind of reinforces everything you and I have been like really trying to teach people on this channel was be married to nothing
Yeah.
and just work hard and literally listen to your body. And we are specifically speaking to people with probably over 5 years of hard gym experience. When we say that, if you're under 5 years, like probably just follow your program, unless it's like a big ass warning sign, right? Like if you're doing lunges and it feels like your quad tendon's gonna blow off the bone, I would probably choose another exercise.
Yeah.
And then I'd probably go get some therapy afterwards,
Yeah.
on the quad, hamstring, and calf. But for the most part, like we're speaking to experienced lifters here, listen to your body and just don't force it because that's what's on the plan. Like the amount of times I'm sure you have, and I know I have, like audible in an exercise or changed the rep range or added or took away an intensity technique is countless at this point of our lifting careers. Um, And it's only because we aren't pig-headed or dumb meathead, whatever you want to call that, enough to think, hey, like there's a better way today to do this. And we'll revisit it next week. So I thought that was very vital to share for many reasons. But it would kind of lead us into the topic of today is contest prep. And let me pull up this guy's questions so that I could say it specifically. Hopefully I can find it really fast. I should have it pulled up on my phone, honestly. Maybe it's here. Okay, here we go. Nope. All right, so let's start here. Like in terms of oh, I found it. Hell yeah, perfect. Okay. He said, "Hey sir, can you make a video of peak week carb up and how you dry your clients out?" So since we've done tons of shows together, what a better topic to discuss with you. So, in the grand scheme of life, with as many preps as we've done, I'll ask you this: has any of them been the same as far as peak week?
Nope.
Okay. How many times has your water been the same?
That's right. The North Americans was comical. Like I probably drank the same amount of water I did the day before.
Yep. So I want to start here only because this is really frustrating, right? Because I know everyone out there, when they ask that question, they have great intention and they're young and they want to learn. Because I was in the same boat. Like when I was starting bodybuilding, I bought, and I still have it. The next time you're in, I'll have to show it to you. So it's called the Peak Week Bible or
Mhm.
pre-contest Bible. And it's every pro's protocol for their final week. And it doesn't go through all the drug shit, but it's all like food. It actually it does show diuretics and water for every pro. And I thought, oh, well, it's got to be one of these the works is going to work for me. The one I related to the most was Sean Ray. So I followed that my first two peaks that I did my own. It was the same contest season and it worked relatively well.
Mhm.
So at the end of the day, it was just smash a bunch of carbs and simultaneously pull your water back. So in the grand scheme of life, I was in pretty good shape and it worked relatively well for a first
Yeah.
show as a natural. Um so again, the reason I say that is only because I remember what it was like hunting and wanting to know what that knowledge was. Because I thought, like everyone probably does, is there's a secret formula that works for everyone. And
Mhm.
then once you solve that equation or you have those answers, then you'll just be able to replicate that year after year after year with every client and yourself. And sadly, that's not the case.
No.
And when you and I speak like that, people are like, oh, they want here they are not telling us the secrets again. And it, the sad thing about all of that is it drastically depends. Because if I gave you your peak week or what I guessed based upon previous knowledge, by the way, of your peak week for USA's today, I could do that. But how accurate would it be? It may
Mhm.
be you know what? It might be dead on. It might be the right call. Or the higher likelihood is it wouldn't be. Now, would it maybe close? I don't know. I'm sure as fuck not gonna try it.
No.
um, so it's very similar to I feel like when people say, Chris, what's your dieting style? Whatever works. What does that mean? I don't know. I have to get rolling with you. Um, and I know that a lot of times, especially first time competitors with me, and I mean first time, I don't mean like their first show ever, but their first time working with me, if they came from a coach who was very, what I will call, he likes to plan ahead, which is
Mhm.
a keyword for he's lazy as fuck. Or she, sorry, I don't want
Yeah.
this race there or gender there. Um, to me, if I do that, it's just because I don't want to deal with you. And what I mean by deal with you is if we're not in person, I need you to send me photos after every meal. I need to send your weight if you can have access to the scale. And it needs to be in the same lighting or similar lighting all day, every day for the last probably week or
Yeah.
3 days at minimum.
Yeah.
Um, and then we dictate what you eat based upon your look. And your water dictates the water is going to dictate what we do there as well. So for you, speaking about North Americans, the more you drink, the better you look. You wake up after not drinking anything all night and you look the worst. So why would I not give you water?
Mhm.
Because some protocol says not to.
Right.
Uh,
Yeah. If I get harder and drier as I eat more food and drink more water, if we did the opposite of that, you think it would make sense I would get worse, right?
yeah. Yep. Yep.
So it's just observational skills, versus like I've worked with some women, the more water you give them, they just hold on to all of it.
Correct. Yep.
It's like you give them 4 grams of water, their body stores 12. And
Yes.
you're like, how the fuck did this happen?
Right. Are you holding your piss? Are you not going to the bathroom? Like, yes. So again, yeah, I by no means am recommending what we do for your prep other people try to mirror or mimic,
Yeah.
because again, as I said, it's literally meal by meal, day by day.
Yep.
And I don't have, it's really easy for me because I don't care about having a plan. I
Yep.
know, well, at this point, you have a ton of the food that you always eat, and I'll make it work.
Mhm.
And it's as simple as that. Oh, Chris, we just ran out of fish. Okay, cool. Do you have chicken? Yeah. Do we have turkey? Yes. Do we have egg whites? Yes. Okay, cool. Oh, I just ran out of olive oil. It's okay. Do we have coconut oil? Do we have almonds or almond butter? Yeah, cool. I don't stress out about any of that shit. Hey, we don't have any rice. It's going to be 20 minutes before it's done. Okay, cool. Just have cream of rice. I don't care. Let's do some potato. Maybe add some fruit to it. Like, it, I'm just so chill in that manner of like, as long as you've been eating it all along, I don't care the food source. I know roughly based upon how you look and knowing your body how to give, and I would love to be able to write that down and formulate a plan, but part of it's just me having an eye for it, right? Like, would 85 grams of carbs work as good as 100? Maybe, but my brain's like, looks like we need 100 today. All right, cool, for this meal. The next meal, it got you kind of full, but I think we can push a little more. Let's try 150. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Go train. We train. You flatten back out by the end of the session. Oh, let's bump that shit to 250 with no fat and eat again really soon afterwards. Like, so
Yeah.
again, I'm just going through some different scenarios that it just takes me looking at you. You'd strip down, you'd pose in the same spot under the same light, you'd spin. I'd think, okay, cool. I'd text you your meal. I'd go over to my computer and type it in.
Yep.
While I text it to you, you're making your food and I'm typing it into your spreadsheet. And then that way we keep an active track. And I know I can go back and look at it if I need to the previous day.
Yep.
Very cool.
Yep.
We got to 600 grams of carbs yesterday, and you're mildly full today, and your scale weight dropped 2 pounds. Okay, cool. I know in my heart I'm probably going to have to push you 750-ish, maybe more, but then I need to start looking to fat, right? Like, okay, maybe I didn't give you enough fat with those meals, so that weight's starting to drop. So I need to stick a little bit more. So I'm going to add some fats to your meal. So let's, if you say you were having roughly 8 grams of fat a meal, let's try 12 and see what happens. And then, oh, Chris, like, oh, I'm losing a little bit of abdominal control. All right, cool. Let's pull your protein back from 8 to 6. Just simply reduce the food volume.
Yep.
Because at that point, protein is the least important.
Yep.
Or switching to more dense sources of protein like salmon or steak or whole eggs, which is going to give you some fat with it. So it's really frustrating, I think, for a lot of people when they hear us talk about this mess, is because they want a hard plan. And as you know, I refuse to do that. Like, I've had people literally say to me, "You're going to write me a plan. I need to know what to take." And I'll be like, "Here's what I'll do. I need you to take 3 pounds of cooked chicken, 3 pounds of cooked steak, 3 pounds of cooked fish, a big ass bag of rice, 4 bags of bowl of gains or rice and grinds, whatever you want, in a jar of almond butter and a thing of olive oil. Can you do that for me? That's what you need. And I'll make it. You need to just listen." But then I'm always bamboozled. Or like, I need to know what I'm gonna do my meals will look like. Why? You're in a you know.
Right.
So what I want to do is
They're not going anywhere. You're still going to be able to eat. It's not like you take a week to respond to emails.
right. No. Of all people, that is certainly not me.
Exactly. So it's like, as a client, right? It's just a matter of like, okay, cool. I have food.
Yes.
How I eat and how this responds is what I'm going to eat next.
Yep.
For peak week. And that's what it comes down to. It's not, and it's like so many people get like, emotionally attached because like we read all the things. It's like, okay, cool, it's peak week. Protein needs to come down, carbs need to go up, fats need to go this way, and they want a mathematical equation where it's not, it never works that way.
Mm-mm.
Like if you break down the human body, it's not going to be as simple as 1 + 2 = 3, right? There's going to be that 1 + 2 what you can control, but then that equal sign is not, it's not going to be an equal sign. It's going to be an if-then statement of 4,000 different outcomes, just based off like all these things, like even things outside of your control.
Oh yeah.
And then that equals X, because it's not going to be the same. You can do the same 1 + 2, but it's not going to have the same outcome. There's similar outcomes.
Yes.
But like you got different things for everybody. Like what happens if someone's allergic to starches and you feed them starches or whatever? Are they going to fill out the same way if their fucking guts inflamed and they have diarrhea? I doubt it. Just it's one of those things, right? There's a lot, like that'd be a big variable. You probably know about it, but it could happen.
Yeah, because okay, so that leads into the next question that everyone gets that's never done a prep with me. Oh, Chris, like what pump up foods do I need to get? Like there's some magic secret that I have where it's like, oh, it's peak week. You're gonna start eating all this different shit that you've never eaten all prep, but you look incredible. Yeah, you're right. I'm gonna change that. No, the answer is no. Like you and I have an inside joke of using Rice Krispie treats with some almond butter and salt on them, and then you drink Vasoblast. There's the secret. It's unveiled. Like, there's no secret. You eat Rice Krispie treats the whole off season and pre-contest for the most part. You eat almond butter, you salt everything, and you use Vasoblast. Awesome. I just need a little something in your stomach so you're not flat. Because honestly, if you went on stage with just chicken, rice, and olive oil in your stomach, I'd be perfectly fine with it. Wouldn't care.
Yeah.
All day long, you've been posing with those type of meals and look incredible. Why does it matter? I don't need some secret fucking elixir where you're like crushing Cialis and snorting it. Like, you get some secret.
Some rhino bones. Some gas station boner pills.
Yes. I believe this in my heart. That a lot of coaches who are really smart do some wacky shit at the end just so they have something to say, I have a secret. Like I really
I've seen some where you see the logic in it. Like we got a couple coaches who do like all of their carbs for peak week on the day of the show, just at least the day of the show. All of their carbs are coming from Carbolin.
Oh.
And they have to mix it in a bowl so it's like minimal volume.
Oh.
And it's just like, you really like, does that taste like fucking semen at that point?
Yeah.
Probably the same consistency. And it's like, you're gonna hate that, but like, yeah, you're getting 100 grams of carbs in the size of 2 tablespoons of fucking peanut butter. Like, no wonder your client's gonna go out and binge eat the night of.
Yeah, agreed.
Because they've been eating like fucking a lab experiment for the entire day, and it's like the idea behind it is like, oh, cool, he's got low food volume, you're gonna have a tight waist.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, what happens when your body sees that high glycemic carbohydrate? Like we've all done this. Go drink a half a gallon of Kool-Aid and see what your stomach does.
Oh yeah.
Bloated. Why? Because your body said so. Your body says, we're not going to stick that in your large intestine because it's going to spike the shit out of our blood sugar. So we're going to leave it in your stomach.
Right. Yep.
We're not going to digest that.
Yep. Yeah. One of the craziest ones that I've seen recently repeated a lot is a very good coach will have his clients backstage before they go on. It's a mixture of vodka, coffee, and their pre-workout. First of all, I bet that tastes fucking horrendous.
Probably makes them shit, dude. It's like the Starbucks thing. Did you hear about the Starbucks olive oil coffee?
Oh yeah.
Like legitimately, it has like a tablespoon of olive oil in black coffee. Like people are gonna shit their pants, dude. Like, did you guys who okayed this? like, in what world is this okay?
Right. Yeah. But this guy preaches that's the secret to getting dry and hard and full on stage. Like, I'm sorry. Like, so I'll tell you another secret. Like, Matt Porter had me do the craziest concoction I did backstage was he had me do, it was one of those little V8
Oh yeah,
drink mixed with my pre-workout. And I had
yeah.
that. That's what I had before going. It
I
tastes,
had you had me do that in one of my first shows.
yeah, because it worked. It
Yeah, it's
tastes
all
horrible.
of the sodium.
Yeah, right. Because it
Like
worked.
you read the back, it's like 200% of your daily value of sodium. You're like, oh, that makes sense.
But it tastes horrible. Something else have you ever heard of having like vegetable glycerin?
Yeah,
Okay, so I've done that before.
yeah,
There's also I read a thing where Christian Thibodeau said you have to do it pre-contest. So
yeah.
I was shooting that shit down my mouth like honey. Oh, stupid. Again, it's just dumb. Like in hindsight, all that stuff doesn't matter if you're in shape.
No, I love vegetable glycerin in my intra workout.
Oh yeah, right.
It's the same thing as it's the same thing as Hydromax. It's just
Yes,
not trademarked.
glycerol. Yes, 100%.
Yep.
Yep.
It's legitimately just glycerol and it's cheap as hell. Like
Yes.
fantastic intra workout supplement if you guys need it. There's a secret. That one works.
Yes. Yeah, yeah. So
Backstage, I probably wouldn't use it.
no. I would not do that again.
Yeah. I think Lee Priest just talked about this. It's just I saw it on his Instagram, but it was like exactly this. Like, if you're in shape, what got you to that point and how do you hold it? That's all you're doing.
Yes.
You're not going to magically go from, and that's where peak week gets really fucked for people because people get to that Sunday or Monday before the show and they're like, I don't know if, yes, you can be flat and your brain can fuck with you if you're flat, right? But you're not going to look too much different from that point to Saturday. You're going to have a tan. You're not going to have body hair. And you're going to have coconut oil on your body in glaze. And if you don't look good there at that Monday with those aspects changed, that's the only thing that's going to be different.
Yeah.
You're going to be carved up and tanned.
Yes.
Right. So if you look at your body, you're like, okay, would this look better if I had, how do I look post workout, carved up?
Yeah.
And this was the tan. It's
right.
literally that simple. It's like, you're not going to magically have a peak week and get Kevin Levrone delts. You don't have them.
Right. Right. You mean if I do 100 sets of side laterals backstage for 2 hours, it's not going to work? Oh,
Dude, that's my favorite thing with pump ups. Like, you would think at a bodybuilding show, like people who are pumping up have you would think they have been to the gym before and they've seen this in themselves, right? But at this point, like they're at a bodybuilding show, so I hope they've been to the gym. But if you go to the gym, especially when you're dieting, you get a pump. How long does that hold on to you for?
not long.
Right? Usually, like you're at home, you're like, okay, my pump's gone. You have a pump in the gym, you look good, and then it fades away.
Yes.
Somehow, you go to backstage 4 hours early, like your men's bodybuilding's on stage and men's physique's coming up after everybody. It's like you better start pumping up now. You know, it's like, I have you not been to the gym? How long is this gonna last?
Yeah. And then you pair that with shuttling in sleeves of rice cakes with nut butter. So I'm going to take one of the most non-dense carbohydrate sources, meaning 7 grams of carbs per cake. And I'm going to start eating those in abundance with nut butter, which is going to slow my digestion down like a motherfucker.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not going to work, bro.
I mean, your best bet for those rice cakes is to put enough jelly on it.
Yes.
Where you're using the rice cake as a spoon for that carbohydrate. Because the amount of jelly you're putting on that rice cake probably has more carbohydrates than the rice cake.
Correct. Yes.
That's also makes me laugh too. It's just like, if you're putting jelly on a rice cake backstage and they're using sugar-free jelly, it's like, are you fucking kidding with me? Like, why?
Right. Agreed.
Like, just go get the real stuff.
Yes.
Like, not the fake cheap stuff. Like the jelly, what you got, someone made on a farm, what is like citric acid, raspberries, and sugar.
Right. Yep.
Right. That's it. not high fructose corn syrup or any of that shit. That stuff will fill you out pretty good. Just eat that whole fucking jar of jelly.
Yep.
And skip the rice cakes. You'd be better off.
Yeah, get a spoon and have at it.
Yeah. But
yeah, it's so to answer that, like, so you know what, I want to give people something they can walk away with here. Like, for the most part, I will say this: if you want a blind template to follow, let's say your base that you're ready at 8 days out is 200 grams of carbs on a training day, 50 grams of fat, and 350 grams of protein. If that's not you, I'm sorry, but just for our easy, simple math, right? 9 times out of 10, I'm just going to slowly add carbs every single day at 50 to 100 grams and see how you respond. And as long as you continue to fill out and dry out, I'm going to change nothing. I'm just going to keep adding food slowly into the show. Now, if you have a weight cap to make, that may be a different story. I may have to keep you at 200 grams of carbs until you weigh in, and until you hit the weight cap, and then we can start aggressively loading. That's a completely different scenario. If I did it the way I do you, which is we're just going to look the best you can, whatever weight class you fall in, you do. So I'm going to do it. If the weight is not sticking, meaning your weight continues to dive bomb, I need to start increasing fats or simultaneously increase carbs with that. Pretty simple.
mm-hmm.
And then just take that 8 days out. You're sending me photos as soon as you wake up with your weight, after your lift, and then before bed. And then I'm tracking that with your weight.
Yep.
Okay. And we do that up until 3 days out. And at 3 days out, that increases to every day or every meal. Eat, wait 20 minutes, pose, take photos, send them to me if I'm not there with you in person, and then I'll plan your next meal. It's simple. 9 times out of 10, it's just going to increase as the time goes on. Then on the day of the show, it's honestly just eat enough to get your muscles full, but not so much that your stomach blows out. It's as simple as that. Like, and then as we've already said, like, you just stay with the carbs and fats and proteins that got you there. Vegetables, hit or miss. You don't have any. Sometimes I have some. It's kind of just based on how I feel, honestly. If I'm ravenous and need some filler, I'll put them in there. If I don't, I'll just eat a straight chicken, rice, and olive oil meal. It doesn't matter. Or steak and potato, or chicken, egg whites, and oatmeal. Same shit with some almond butter in it. I don't have to have vegetables. No. If you have a tendency your stomach wants to blow out, I would have 0 vegetables. Just, you don't need that GI distress, and you need less food volume, because broccoli is doing nothing. Spinach is doing nothing. As long as you're doing what you should from a standpoint of like fiber and other spots, and you're having regular bowel movements, there's no need for vegetables. Not that I know of. Like, they're pointless. Save them for after the show. Like, yeah. Very rarely anyone ever begging me for vegetables anyways, but that's always a question that comes up. And no, I don't count carbs from vegetables. Stupid as fuck.
Yeah.
You're going to burn more calories chewing celery or broccoli than you ever will what they process and put into your body. So,
no, unless you're doing something stupid, like if you're, you're sauteing all of your vegetables in olive oil to make them taste good.
Correct. Yes. If you're doing that,
at that point, you're just retarded. You're wondering why your carbs are so low.
Right. I mean, I think the biggest thing I can tell, I would say, as a takeaway from all this for peak week is stick with the foods that got you there. Pull your training intensity back. I would probably pull your volume back as well, but I don't know what you train with. So if you're technically a low volume guy, you may just have to just pull your intensity back to, let's say you're doing 8 sets for chest. You could do 2 press, 1 fly, and you're done for chest, and that's it. And you're just not taking anything to failure. And you're definitely not doing like intensity techniques like rest pause and stupid shit that causes inflammation. So like that, and then I'm going to slowly pull the cardio back, because so you can give your legs some life. So 9 times out of 10, the less cardio we do, the less inflamed your legs will be. So we want to show separation in the legs. That means we've got to slowly pull the cardio back. And then the number one, this is number one, because I think you can do all that shit fucked up if this is right. Remove and eliminate as much stress in your life as humanly possible.
Oh, 100%.
the more chill you are, you'd be shocked with the shit we can get away with. The things that aren't like, I think some people would freak out if, let's say we had a pot of rice on and I wanted 300 grams of rice, but there was only 250 in there. Oh my God, what am I going to do? You're smart enough to do the fucking math and fill that with cream of rice or a banana or an apple or, you know, whatever, oatmeal, fill in the blank. Where people just will stress about that and they'll push a meal off 45 minutes to the next pot of rice.
One singular rice cake for that 50 grams of rice.
Right. Yeah.
Boom.
Shock, right? Okay, so that's why I think you always do well with me because you're so fucking chill. It doesn't that doesn't matter. Well, but Chris, no, it doesn't matter. The gym didn't have that hammer string machine that you wrote in my program. All right, cool. Can you just go do another pull down for me? Yeah, but it doesn't have. Just do a pull down. You aren't building any muscle. Just burn some fucking carbs up.
Exactly.
That's it. Like, we don't have a leg extension here. What am I going to do? Go do a leg press. I don't give a fuck. Like, it's so many people get off on like the littlest things that their stress goes this way, or they allow the people they bring in their life who are stressors to even come in general, which huge no. Like, I'm sorry. If your wife and kids drive your cortisol up, they're going to do that on your show day really bad. Like, you have to
get a babysitter.
Yep.
You know, just you're going to have to just pull something out.
Okay. If you know one of your friends is always there and they always talk shit, don't invite them. Don't tell them about it. Like, the amount of times I've had to like be in the middle of the competitor and their spouse going at it and arguing over the stupidest shit, like just dumb shit. And I'm like, can you please leave? Like, can you just go take a walk and go grab us some Starbucks or something? Like, thanks. Like, oh, or, you know, they'll stress, Chris, I need more carbs than this. Have you managed this the entire time? Chris, I need more oil in this. No, you don't. Trust me. Let me do my fucking job and get out of the way. Well, Chris, you see me all along. Trust me, bro. You were spot the fuck on. Don't listen. You're not flat. You may feel like you're flat. As soon as we get pumped, you're gonna be good. I promise.
Oh my goodness. I will laugh at this till the day I die.
Okay.
But wow, what year? This is like 3 years ago now. But when I took first at Wasatch, but I didn't take the overall. This other coach, after prejudging, before finals, he came up to me and he's like, dude, I think you have it like, this is before I even got because I took first in my class there at Light Heavies. He's like, I think you did great, but you just need to come in harder. And I was like, okay, bro. And then I just fucking laughed about it because I was like, you think I would know that, boss? And then like, if we pulled up those stage pics, I'm substantially, hardness is not my weakness.
No, not at all.
Like, I would like to know what you mean by this, but like, if I listened to him at that point, I would have gone insane.
Yes.
You know what I mean? That's just like why, when it comes to this sport, you find someone you trust, you listen to them, and if someone wants to give your opinion, take it with a grain of salt. And if it is someone you trust, run with it. But if it's someone that doesn't fucking matter, like that guy telling me I should have came in harder after prejudging was so fucking funny. Like, I kid you not, Connor and Summer they brought me like they came to my Airbnb and Connor helped me pose that after prejudging, and it was hilarious because I told him that and he was like, "This guy is smoking crack."
Yeah, we nailed hardness on that show pretty well.
That wasn't the problem.
So there's two things that jump in my mind when you told that story, which is really funny. What show was it that Brad traveled with you? Do you remember?
Oh, that was that show.
Okay. He took your photos that morning, right?
Yeah.
He immediately DM'd me and goes, Chris, I think something's wrong. And I was like, what? He's like, he doesn't look the way he does on your photos that you post of him on Instagram. And I was like, okay, just wait. And then the moment you must have came out at prejudging, he messaged me, he's like, You were right.
That,
I was like,
that was the same job. Yeah.
I was like, told you, he just needs food and water, man. Like the dude you see in the morning is not the person you'll see in 3 or 4 or 5 hours. And going back to another point you just made about like trust people that you trust or listen to people you trust. I mean, I think you told that story on here where Justin Harris came to you backstage. You're like, yeah, you're in shape.
Yeah. Yeah.
Dude's been around bodybuilding for literally decades and seen some of the greatest physiques ever up close. Like, so when someone says that to you, like, that has to make you feel incredible. I know as your coach reps you, that makes me feel good because it's like, all right, cool. Like, I'm not delusional. Because I mean, I think in the grand scheme of life, sometimes coaches can get caught up in their own athletes and they miss because, once you get to a certain point of you, when you, as much muscle as you have, like you can look good stand alone. And then you get out there and it's like, oh, well, he's not as hard as the rest of these guys. So it's easy to like sometimes almost get complacent and say, oh, I backed off the gas a little too soon because I was bamboozled by his photos because he's got so much muscle that it distracts, right? Like I'm sure shit like Chris Aceto and shit and all those guys who are really good, Hani, like imagine looking at Phil or Primetime Ramy or Ronnie by himself. Like I'm sure it's really easy to be like, you're good. But then know in the back of your mind, like, no, 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 we want to be the best in the world. So I have to force that throttle of like, don't get almost like goggles, like what people say, like beer goggles for your clients. Like you have to know, like, all right, look at his weak points, look at the spots that tend to go flat, look at where you hold fat. And I have to watch those like a hawk. And even though, like, for you, for example, like your side leg may look stupid. All right, cool. What do your quads from the front look like? Because for you, like, that's what, if I'm thinking about like your leg from the front is always going to be more dug out before the front side of your quad. Well, if I'm looking at your leg from the side and the side chest, like, man, his legs are ready. All right, no, let's look back at those front double, front relaxed, front lat
Yep.
spread, see what they look like. So for the coaches out there, like going into those final 5, 4, 6 weeks, you have to watch that. And then once all the fat's off, to me, like that's the easy part. Like I think the only thing we haven't touched on here is water. And I think water kind of ties into diuretics, which we'll end on. But like water is 100% person to person, as you already touched on. Like there's been shows where I've pulled your water. There's been shows where I've had you sip. There's been shows where I've had you do like 6 ounces. And there's been other times where I'm like, just drink free until I tell you different. And then I never tell you different.
Yeah.
Like, and again, that comes back to experience of and why you shouldn't coach hop, right? Because if you came to me now, I probably wouldn't let you drink free.
No.
I would have to learn that in person on the fly. And
Mhm.
that's never easy to do from a coaching perspective. But now in my mind, I know that 9 times out of 10, I'm going to be able to give you more water than most people.
Yeah. If I went to a different coach, actually it'd be kind of comical. If I was like 2 weeks out and I went to a different coach, $10 my peak week would be limit water, take diuretics because I'd wake up, they'd see my morning photos and they'll be like, he's holding a lot of like,
Yep.
and they'll be like, cut water. And then as I get worse, they're like diuretics, and then I just get worse.
And they probably have you like go do cardio, train a fuckload because they're like, we got to get you full, we got to get you hard, right? Like I gotta make him move. Next thing you know, your physique would just tank. It's like you need a little bit of a pump and you need food and water and rest and just chill with your feet up.
Yep.
We do that, I know, with you. And then you need a certain amount of movement. I don't need a lot of structured movement, but I've found like when we were in Pittsburgh, you needed to move a little bit. Like, let's go walk around. All right, cool.
Yeah. Yeah. Just walk around. Exactly. Go up and down the stairs, elevator to the floor, and then walk to the fence and back. Then I'm set.
Right. Get a little vitamin D. Just move around. Like push those carbs around, right? Like, or then more some guys on the flip side of that, they may be burning through food so fast that I'm like, just lay on your back with your feet up and don't fucking move, and I'll bring you your food. Where other people need to start shuttling those nutrients around a little bit more. And then some people, I need them to do full on cardio. Like you may go take a 10-minute walk after every meal because you don't tolerate food as well, but you're going flat. But when I feed you more carbs, your stomach comes out. All right, eat that meal, go walk for 10 minutes, slowly, leisurely pace. Guess what? Suddenly that digestion starts moving. Like, so those are just some different scenarios. Like for me, I've had great shows where I haven't drank water for 48 hours or close to it, other than just getting pills down. I've had other times where I've drank like 6 to 8 ounces a meal. I've had other times where it's like cut your water off at 7 p.m. the night before and don't drink until you get your trophy at the end. That's hell, by the way. But like I was just listening. When I was with
Mhm.
John, he had me drink the most water ever. I just drink, go. All right, cool. How much do you have? 8 ounces. All right, perfect. Do that again with your next meal. Like, so there's no formula. You have to go by what you see visually.
Mhm.
And the last thing to wrap all this mess up is diuretic use. And if I can't champion this enough, like you don't need them if you're in shape. I've seen so many great physiques be ruined and a whole prep ruined because the little pills of the size of my pen cap. Like,
Mhm.
and I'm sure you've seen it too. Like, you get the coaches walking around with their fanny packs, handing out Diazide and Lasix, right?
Right. Dude, I've seen coaches watch their athletes take them like they're in fucking prison,
Yep.
and it's just like Jesus fuck.
Yeah.
Like,
I'm going to share a fun fact with you. If you're in shape, you don't need it. If you're not in shape, that pill's not going to change that.
no, yeah, you're just gonna be flat and soggy.
Yeah. I'm going to share this story with you because it's the most, not with you, it's with this audience. So I'm going to let this guy remain nameless because he hates himself for it. And I swear to God, he lost a pro card because of it. So preparing for Masters Nationals, we had done the Idaho State Show, won straight first. Um, just dynamite, looked incredible. And he was like crazy peeled. When I say he was lean, man, like there was literally no fat on him. And it was one of those preps too. Like he started the prep with glute striations. So listen, he was in good shape. And I knew in my heart, like he doesn't have the prettiest physique, but I knew as a master in the 40 plus, if he brought that conditioning and he's pretty balanced, like not missing body parts, like, and he has a dominant back. He has a very good back. He's like back, glute, hamstring there, nuts. So as you know, like that wins a lot of shows if he's peeled, and I knew he would be. So he's, let's see, at this point, 2 days out, and he's like, Chris, I have all these diuretics with me. What do I do? Nothing. You don't need them. There's no fat. There's no water on you. Don't take them. Okay, cool. Next morning, wakes up, sends me his photos, and like just something looks off. And he's like, "Man, I couldn't go to sleep last night." I was like, "Oh, so you said shit sleep?" Well, I couldn't sleep. I started getting panicked, and I took 2 Diazine. And then I woke up this morning before my photos, and I was really watery, so I took another one. I'm like, no. Second call out, soft. He hadn't looked that soft since like 10 weeks out.
Yeah.
A horrible lesson to learn at a very big stage. And I know in my heart, because I know who won. Like he could have beaten him hands down. And he know, like we sit down and looked at his photos afterwards, and I was like, man, he's like, I just got in my head. So fast forward 2 years later, we are at his qualifying show, same scenario. So I knew this time, like, first of all, I told him the whole time, don't even take him with you. He's an old school bodybuilder. I get it. Like, you got to take your diuretics. You have to. You got to be a good boy and take those. No, you don't. But so he FaceTimes me, and I was like, all right, man, you have your diuretics. He's like, yeah. I was like, all right, I'll make a deal with you. Put it in your mouth, suck on it. When I say spit it out, you spit in the toilet and flush it, deal. So he sucked on it for like 10 seconds. That eased his mind. He went right to sleep. Looked bananas, won the overall. Ended up having to not do a national level show because he had some business trouble running through, right? But
Yeah.
that lesson right there, right, of he thought like you get in your own head and you're like, oh, I need to be drier. Listen, you can't get water out from under the skin if it's not there. It just comes from the muscle.
Mhm.
And those pills don't give a fuck where the water comes from. They're medically designed to just make you piss like a racehorse. So guess what our muscles are made of? Water. If you deflate it, what's it gonna look like? It's gonna look like shit. Then the muscle's not gonna suck against the skin, and you're gonna look fatter than you really are. Like it, and usually that pairs with people not drinking water, pounding carbs. So then they have this spider look where their legs look skinny, their arms look skinny, and their stomach looks blown out. Will that ever win a bodybuilding show? No, no. I'd almost rather take the opposite approach, pound water, load insulin, and be full blown on stage. Because that's gonna beat this look that I just described all day long. You're gonna be a
Oh, 100%.
little less hard, but you're gonna be full blown. All right, and your stomach's gonna be flat. That's a whole other protocol that I can talk about a different show. But in the grand scheme of life, like what you have to think about is 99 times out of 100, you don't need the diuretics. It's going to do nothing. It, and here's how I always do the math in my brain. The problem, if I gave you a diuretic, you might get 1 to 2% better, maybe. If it doesn't go the way we want, you're 20 to 30% worse. And that math doesn't work in my head. And I would hate to say, here, swallow this. You get up there and be like, Chris, what happened to me? I'm like, I shouldn't have taken it. Shouldn't have gave you that diuretic. Where if I'm looking at you in front of my face and I'm like, just let's get a pump and then get on stage. I know what you're going to look like. There's no guessing. I'm going to feed you the same foods that I fed you the whole time. You're going to get a pump. And I know, because I know what your post-lift workouts look like or post-lift photos look like. I know what you're going to look like on stage. As long as you're tanning and fucked up and that ain't on me, like, I know what you're going to look like. Unless you're taking diuretics for the whole last fucking 3 weeks. And I don't suggest that either. So they're just they're just too unpredictable. Do you agree with that?
Oh, 100%. It's like way worse than a coin flip.
Yes. Agreed. Agreed. If it was 50-50, maybe I'd take the shot.
Mhm.
But why? And listen, and especially for someone like you who is always hard, like you don't walk around holding tons of water in the off season, and when we pull all the fat off, you don't walk around soft any of the time. So again, as I go back to a point I just made, where is the water going to come from? Especially if you aren't drinking it.
Mhm.
That equation never worked for me. You pull water out, you take diuretics, and then you load carbs. All right, cool. You have nothing to shuttle the nutrients. And then where's the water coming from if you're in shape? The muscle. And then the food sits in the stomach and doesn't get digested because there's no water and shuttled to the muscle. So your stomach's going to be full, your muscles are going to be flat. It I'm sure someone could argue that because people have taken diuretics in bodybuilding for literal decades and look crazy. And I would always argue, that's a matter of being a genetic elite
Mhm.
and just not managing the prep well.
Mhm.
And that's controversial, I know.
Yeah, that is true.
But you're a walking case of that. And years ago, John posted that exact same thing. It was like he had Terrence, he had Fuad, who had both won pro shows. It was Chris Shaw who finished third at nationals. It was me, and it was him. Of that whole spectrum of people, I'm by far the lowest man on the totem pole as far as quality of physique. And none of us use diuretics. Guess what? We all won. Be in shape, and you don't need that mess as long as you monitor food and water properly.
Yeah.
I always think it's a Hail Mary at the end to be lazy.
Yeah.
And then for some people, it's here because they marry diuretic with peak week.
Mhm.
Why? And especially if you're doing multiple shows in a year, you're already in shape for the second and third one. You better, well, at least you better be, right? So why not? Like I will always go back to if you walk around hard all day, why do you need it?
Yeah. Right. And if you walk around watery all day, figure out why.
Right. Yes. Yes. Hormones, food type, stress, not sleep. You know, I think you've experienced a lot too, right? If you're in a prep and you eat your meals, you train, you take a nap, you wake up and you're hard as nails. Okay, so what does that tell you? Sleep does the body good. If you're sleeping 2.5 hours a night and you're on your phone scrolling all the time, death scroll, and then when you feel like you can take a nap, you don't do it, and you wonder why you're soft, and that's the first place I would look.
Yeah. Nah, man, up the trend.
Yeah, right. Yeah, got to be more trend because if you don't want to sleep, like the best thing you should do is definitely take that up. Yeah, or this is another controversial thing, right? Like you go all year looking incredible, you get down the last couple weeks of the show and you want to take all your drugs north. awesome. He's gonna be so stressed. Oh, listen, oh my God. I will share this other fun story, right? There's a really good competitor that I know who his coach said, man, we want to cut all the oils out of your diet. So he thought he meant like olive oil. The dude meant all of the injectables because they have oil in them. So he was counting the fat supposedly that was in like his testosterone. So he made
Mhm.
him switch all to orals at 3 weeks out, and his look just, oh, his body disintegrated. Oh, I wonder why. Your organs were getting fucking hammered.
Yeah, that's insane.
Oh, here's a fun fact, to me at least. If if you use gear all year long, your body's used to it. It's a constant. You don't have to factor in for that.
Right? It's like one of those things. It's just like it's an adaptation,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
If you walked to work every day for the entire year,
Mhm.
that's just your NEAT.
Yes.
Like that's not cardio. That's just your activity,
Agreed.
you
Yes.
know? And it's the same thing with that. Like me, I use like I told you this on another podcast. I use regular ass fucking ketchup all year.
Yep.
As soon as I get in contest prep, I switch to sugar free. What happens? I have a scale drop. Why? Because I changed the fucking constant.
Correct. Yep. Yeah.
That's it.
Yep. Yeah.
You know?
I guess it's
If
not
I kept ketchup in there the entire time, would it matter? No, because what would happen? My rice would get lowered because I don't eat more of it. It stays the same.
Yep. That's a concept that very few understand. Is, and again, a lot of times like that's why in a contest prep, like I mean, I think you've seen me, I'll measure that sugar-free barbecue sauce because I just want it to be a constant. I want to know that every meal I have 15 or 20 grams of it, depending upon where I am, and that's it. It's all, I don't get more, I don't get less, I don't need more, I don't need less.
No.
So it's almost like, okay, cool. As long as I'm losing body fat with 20 grams of sugar-free barbecue sauce, I'm going to keep it in. If I get to a point where I'm like, I could probably pull that out, then guess what? I eliminate it, and it may not do anything, or it may do a little something. It's not going to break the world. It's not going to like suddenly make my hamstrings sliced, or,
Yeah.
but it's going to make a difference. And again, that kind of that ties in, I guess, to the final portion because we did talk about diuretics. Is like, I think so many people follow these rules of like, you have to pull your GH out at this day, or you have to stop using testosterone at this day and shoot your tren the final day on this. And if you're in, I'll go back to what I said earlier. If you're in shape, don't change a thing.
No, it doesn't matter.
If you're hard with 6 units of growth hormone, why would you pull that? Dear God, if you're in shape, why? Don't. What you're going to potentially do is freak the body out and make it get flat. And then you're like, oh man, I'm flat now. I have to start loading carbs. What if we would just left the growth hormone in? There are no rules. There's no rules.
Right.
Please.
Yeah, like it's the funniest thing too, because like I don't know if people just lose their mind. So they're like, oh, cool. I'm 3 weeks out. I'm hard, I'm dry, I'm using growth hormone.
Yes.
Oh, I'm 1 week out. I'm hard, I'm dry. Let's get rid of growth hormone.
Right.
What the fuck changed? They're like, oh wow, I feel flat this week.
Oh, I
Well,
bet you do.
why wouldn't you? You know what I mean? We just got rid of fucking what's helping you hold on to muscle tissue is gone.
Right. Right. Suddenly you aren't sleeping as well. You aren't recovering from your workouts. And you're like, man, I lost fullness. I wonder why. I have no clue. I have one clue.
Good idea here.
You are outsmarting your body. Stop it.
Yeah. Like
So,
the same concept of people who get like fake gear.
oh, yeah. Yeah.
They're like, and then it stops. And it's like, oh, that makes sense. No wonder we saw a huge decline because you started injecting WD 40 instead of testosterone.
Yeah. Yeah. All right. So that's the takeaway from today. Peak week. You have to manage it. It isn't just a blind template. If it was a template, I'd design it and sell it for thousands of dollars because that's what people pay me to coach them. And I would sell a lot more of those than I would training programs. I have all the answers. The answers are here. Follow it. But I'm not a dirtbag, and I don't believe that. I just don't. So if you work with me and if you work with Dave, for coaching. No, you will not get a plan a week early. You won't get a plan a day early for the most part, unless you're traveling, and then I'll have to say, hey, take these meals to the airport. That's the only scenario that may remotely happen. So, anyways, until next time, like, share, subscribe. We are done.
Yep.